Imagine this. A massive world empire, powerful generals, and no clear enemies. The stage is set for one of the most intriguing and complex conflicts in history. Today, we're diving into the Wars of the Diadochi, one of the strangest and most convoluted conflicts of the ancient world. This was a time when friends turned into foes, and the lines between ally and enemy blurred beyond recognition. If you love stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The tale of the Diadochi is not just a story of war, but a saga of ambition, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of power. It all starts in 323 BC when Alexander the Great dies, without naming a clear successor. His death left a power vacuum in the largest empire the world had ever seen. He had conquered the largest empire of the ancient world, stretching from Greece to India. This vast territory was a mosaic of cultures, peoples, and cities, all held together by the sheer force of Alexander's will. But who would rule it? The question of succession was not just a matter of governance, but a matter of survival for those who had been closest to Alexander. His generals, known as the Diadochi, immediately began a power struggle to control this vast territory. These were men who had fought alongside Alexander, shared in his victories, and now saw an opportunity to carve out their own empires. Here's what's strange. There was no clear enemy. Unlike most wars, which are fought against a common foe, the wars of the Diadochi were internal. The generals were fighting each other, each one believing they had the right to rule. Instead, Alexander's former trusted friends fought each other. These were men who had once been comrades in arms, now turned into bitter rivals. The bonds of friendship and loyalty were shattered by ambition and the lust for power. Generals like Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Antigonus made alliances, broke them, and switched sides constantly. It was a never-ending back and forth. The political landscape was in constant flux, with allegiances changing as quickly as the tides. A war where old friends turned on each other, and alliances changed as quickly as they were made. The battlefield was not just a place of physical combat, but a chessboard of strategy and deception. Even stranger. Alexander's own family was caught in the conflict. His wife Roxana and his son Alexander IV were supposed to be the heirs, but the generals saw them as threats and eventually had them murdered. The very bloodline of Alexander was seen as a danger to the ambitions of the Diadochi. His wife Roxana and his son Alexander IV were supposed to be the heirs, but the generals saw them as threats and eventually had them murdered. This act of betrayal was not just a political move, but a personal vendetta against the legacy of Alexander. It was a war full of betrayals and power grabs, where no one was safe, not even the closest relatives of the great conqueror. The Diadochi were willing to go to any lengths to secure their power, even if it meant turning on their own. After decades of fighting, there was no clear winner. The wars dragged on, draining the resources and morale of all involved. The once unified empire was now a patchwork of warring states, each ruled by a different general. Alexander's vast empire was broken into several smaller kingdoms, ruled by his generals. Ptolemy took Egypt, establishing a dynasty that would last for centuries. His rule brought stability to the region, but it was a far cry from the unity of Alexander's empire. Seleucus took the eastern territories, creating the Seleucid Empire. This new kingdom stretched from the Mediterranean to the borders of India, a vast and diverse realm that would face its own challenges in the years to come. And Antigonus claimed parts of Greece. His ambitions were grand, but his hold on power was tenuous, constantly challenged by other generals and local rulers. Instead of one great empire, only fragments remained, all due to personal power struggles. The dream of a unified world under one ruler was shattered, replaced by a mosaic of competing kingdoms. The Wars of the Diadochi, a strange conflict where old friends became enemies, a family was wiped out, and a massive empire shattered. It was a period of chaos and transformation, where the old order was swept away, and a new world began to take shape. If you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up and comment on which story you'd like to hear next. See you next time. The saga of the Diadochi is a reminder of the fragility of power and the lengths to which people will go to achieve it. Stay tuned for more tales from the annals of history.